Who could have imagined that just hours after the Israeli military issued a fierce warning of all-out war against Iran's leadership, and while Tehran's streets were still reeling from the shock of explosions, missiles from Iran's Revolutionary Guard would streak across Israel's night sky, leaving trails of flame in their wake. This conflict leaves no time to catch one's breath. On the afternoon of February the 28th Beijing time, the skies across the Middle East were ablaze with fire. Let's rewind a few hours to piece together what exactly unfolded that very morning. Around 14:22 Beijing time, Israel made its move. According to Israeli Defense Minister Katz, this was a preemptive strike. The US and Israel jointly launched the military operation codenamed Roaring Lion. The targets were clear, striking directly at Iran's core regions. Massive explosions rocked Tehran's city center, with thick plumes of smoke rising over multiple locations. Subsequent reports indicated the airstrikes were particularly brutal, hitting key government facilities including the Presidential Palace and the Ministry of Intelligence and National Security. Even the vicinity of Supreme Leader Khamenei's office was struck. Reports indicated Khamenei himself was not in Tehran, having been evacuated to a secure location earlier. Nevertheless, this strike effectively brought the flames of war directly to the heart of Iran. Xinhua journalists on the scene heard 3 massive explosions and witnessed thick plumes of smoke rising over multiple areas of Tehran, with the entire city enveloped in a tense atmosphere. Approximately 2 hours later, journalists again heard a barrage of explosions in Tehran, indicating the strikes were ongoing. Israel declared a nationwide state of emergency, closed its airspace, and cancelled all commercial flights. The Ministry of Transportation directly urged citizens not to go to airports and to await further notice. Immediately afterward, U.S. President Trump delivered a video address on social media, using even stronger language. He stated that the U.S. had launched massive military operations in Iran, aiming to level Iran's missile industry, destroy its navy, and prevent it from acquiring nuclear weapons. The U.S. confirmed that its attack aircraft and aircraft carriers stationed across the Middle East participated in the airstrikes. This fundamentally altered the nature of the conflict, no longer a private standoff between Israel and Iran, but a full-scale military confrontation with direct U.S. involvement. In fact, before taking action, the U.S. had already deployed significant resources to the region. The Associated Press reported that the Trump administration had established the largest military presence in the Middle East in decades. The USS Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by 3 guided missile destroyers, arrived in the region in late January. The USS George H.W. Ford, along with 4 destroyers, had also been dispatched from the Caribbean Sea and deployed to the Mediterranean. Together, these 2 carrier strike groups brought over 10,000 additional U.S. military personnel to the Middle East. The Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar has seen an even heavier troop buildup, with thousands on standby and hundreds of fighter jets and support aircraft already in position. Such a massive deployment clearly wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a long-planned operation. U.S. officials revealed that the purpose of this joint U.S.-Israel military action is to dismantle Iran's security system. Amid this turmoil, Israeli media suddenly dropped a bombshell. Amir Hatami, commander of the Iranian Army, was killed in the airstrike. While this report has gained widespread circulation, a crucial question remains unanswered. Iranian authorities have yet to confirm the claim. By conventional logic, if one of the nation's top military commanders is killed in an attack, the government would typically issue some form of acknowledgement or tribute. Yet Iran remains silent on the matter. Whether this is genuine or merely Israeli psychological warfare remains unclear at this point. Speaking of Khatami, he actually made a public appearance just 5 days ago, on February the 23rd. At the time, he delivered a speech at a graduation ceremony in Tehran, adopting a very firm stance. He stated that while the enemy boasts of being bulletproof, it's all lies. He also mentioned that the U.S. actions, such as deploying aircraft carriers to the Middle East, are meant to intimidate, but Iran will not be intimidated. He declared that millions of Iranian soldiers stood ready to sacrifice their lives, vowing never to allow enemies to violate the nation's territorial integrity. Just 5 days after uttering these words, he may be gone. If the reports are true, the speed of this situation's shift is brutally swift. But Iran's response this time, frankly, caught many off guard. It was too swift and too forceful. From the bombing in Tehran to Iranian missiles striking Israel, only about 2 hours elapsed. Around 4:22 p.m. Beijing time, the first wave of strikes from Iran's Revolutionary Guard reached Israel. This time, they largely avoided using slow-flying, small motorcycle, suicide drones, instead deploying heavy artillery, hypersonic missiles and medium-range ballistic missiles. Iranian media reported that the first wave consisted of approximately 30 missiles. As the first wave struck, the second wave was launched immediately afterward. The Israeli military detected multiple rounds of missiles fired from Iran into Israeli territory. With air defense systems scrambling to intercept them, Iran issued a warning, stating it was preparing to launch a devastating strike against Israel following the attack. Aziz, chairman of the parliament's National Security and Foreign Policy Committee, issued a stark warning: "We warned you. Now that you've chosen this path, the outcome is no longer in your hands." Another senior official went further, stating that this retaliation would have no red lines. Anything was possible, including previously unconsidered scenarios, with no time constraints. The implication was clear: this was only the beginning, and more was yet to come. In Israel, chaos erupted nationwide. Air raid sirens blared across Tel Aviv, Haifa, and the Galilee region. The Israeli military repeatedly urged citizens to immediately seek shelter in bomb shelters, warning them not to venture outside or post videos online. Across the night sky, Israel's Iron Dome, Patriot, and Arrow missile defense systems all activated, their interceptors and Iranian ballistic missiles tracing chaotic streaks of light. Yet numerous missiles breached the defenses, striking Israeli cities. Media reports indicated intense explosions in the Haifa area, while buildings in Tel Aviv were also struck, with thick smoke rising from one structure. The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem promptly issued an alert, instructing all staff and their families to take shelter and remain indoors. Iran had clearly prepared thoroughly for this operation. Beyond launching missiles, they shut down the entire national internet. This move was crucial. During the previous conflict, intelligence reportedly leaked out of Iran via online channels, allowing Israeli and U.S. forces to monitor Iranian troop movements in real time. By cutting the internet entirely, they effectively blinded their adversaries. Iran also announced the closure of its airspace, with President Raisi confirming his safety. However, official confirmations remain scarce, leaving the outside world to piece together the situation from fragmented reports. With the conflict escalating to this point, no one can predict what will happen next. Israel has declared it will conduct 4 days of intensive strikes, while Iran has warned that its retaliation will be devastating, and has already begun. Both sides are locked in a head-on confrontation, testing who will crack first. As for the reports of the Iranian Army Commander's death, whether true or false, the answer may soon emerge. If confirmed, Iran's retaliation could escalate far beyond current levels. If false, it signals Israel's psychological warfare to undermine Iranian military morale. Regardless, the Middle East finds itself once again teetering on the brink of major conflict. Missiles still streak through the sky, air raid sirens continue to wail, and ordinary citizens can only huddle in basements, listening to explosions outside, unsure where the next shell will land. This night few will find sleep, and while the world is still processing the first wave of conflict, Iran's second wave of missiles has already struck, with a third wave likely on its way. This battle has only just begun.